Welcome back to Creating a Monster. Here, we're doing things a little different. Fuck it. We usually take the artist out of it and we just talk about success, but we're just going to go ham today. We're going to go all in. This is one of my favorite people on the planet, Irene. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hey, so my name is Irene, tattooer from the Netherlands, and I've been tattooing, I'm a baby. I've been tattooing for 5 years. And yeah, that's basically me.
I still think that 5-year thing just blows my fucking mind. With the talent you have and the reputation you've been able to build and just who you are at your heart, you have such an old soul in the tattoo community of just like passion and purpose that like the 5-year thing, it's insane to me. You're gonna be insane at like 10 and 15 years. It's mind blowing.
I hope so. I really hope so. It's part of my plan. Yeah.
And so you came into tattooing already really well established in art in general, right?
Kinda. Yeah, yeah. When I grew up, a lot of people in my family were artists, not tattooers.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of painters, everyone was drawing or like knitting, a lot of creative stuff. So growing up, I was always drawing. It was either drawing or climbing trees. Those two things I grew up with.
Yeah, well, I mean, and not a lot of people have that opportunity. You know what I mean? But I don't think that really like encompasses the art that you have because you're just a creative soul, like coming into
Yeah.
the world, like being a little bit more of a free spirit, being able to utilize your creativity, being surrounded by creativity is amazing. But
Yeah.
you were also an art educator,
Yeah.
like you really, it's kind of a one-off. So I've had experiences to work with artists who just they pick it up and they understand it. They can comprehend it. They
Mhm.
understand the assignment. We have an apprentice at my studio named Cadence. It's my business partner's daughter. She's already better than every color artist that I know because she's grown up just eating and sleeping and breathing art. And I think that is your lineage. Where it's just that's just something that you understood. And now whatever you do, you have that focus of just love for the craft regardless of the medium.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing as well is that when I was 8 years old, I already knew that I wanted to get into tattooing. So I was raised Catholic, and when you're 8 years old, you do like a second baptism.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a communion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that translates to English, but
Same thing, I think. Yeah.
so we like you do that, you get that pretty dress, and you go to church, and you get like stuff you need to do and sing and whatnot. So after that, you have a little party and to celebrate your baptism. I got a CD of one of my favorite EDM bands back then, and on the cover was two people. Their names are Ray and Anita. And they were tattooed. They had those 90s tribals. And that was
Yep.
the first thing that I was like, this is dope. Like, what's that? And then MTV came with all of the music videos, and I saw more and more of those 90s tribals and other tattoos, gang-related tattoos, and that got me really interesting. So I started drawing those tribals. And I think I was like 13 years old. I was drawing tribals that people actually got tattooed back then.
Okay. Already hard into Flash.
And
Love that.
I still have those drawings, so that's pretty cool. But so yeah, after that I got into the first art school I went to, then I did a second one, and after that I was like I still wanted to get into tattooing, but it was only bikers.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in that scene. So I was like, I study quite easily. Let's do a university.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone in my family was like, you need to get a degree. You need to do that. So I did. I got my bachelor's degree. And then after that, I'm like, I'm not happy. I really, really want to tattoo. So I got an apprenticeship, my first apprenticeship. I did two. First apprenticeship was only 6 months. Um, if I keep it very simple, I would say we just didn't get along. So after 6 months, we decided to quit. And then, of course, I was devastated, but it was a very toxic shop that I was in back then.
Hmm.
So it was good that I did that. And I got back into teaching because that was what I was educated for.
Yeah.
Did that for a couple of years, did some project management, bunch of administration, boring. And then stuff happened in my personal life that got me to the conclusion like, there's nothing left to lose. I need to get an apprenticeship. So I looked within my own country, my own city, couldn't find anything. I think I went past 40 to 60 shops within a couple of months. I was even looking outside of my own country, like in Belgium, in Germany. I got some offers in the US, but I was like, US is a big step because I need to get my green card and everything. And then all of a sudden, I got a message of a pretty famous tattooer in this country. Like, I didn't message him because tattooers, they can look quite dangerous. So I was like, I don't know. Like, he's fully tattooed, his hat as well. So I'd rather not contact him because he's probably gonna decline me like those other 60 shops.
Hmm.
But he contacted me like, hey, I've heard that you're looking for an apprenticeship. Would you be able to come by my studio to show your portfolio? And that's what I did. I went there with my portfolio. He gave me a shit ton of feedback, and he told me that he was going to think about it for a month. So at that time, I was like, shit, I need to wait another month. But I need to find a house because it was 2.5 hours drive from where I was living. So I needed to move. I needed to quit my job, but not just yet because I wasn't certain. So there was a lot of things going on. And I remember on Halloween, they had a flash day. And I was like, I need to show my face.
Yeah.
I cannot afford a tattoo, but I need to show my face. So I went there and I wanted to get a tattoo of my possible future mentor. I wanted that, but he was so ridiculously expensive for me at that time.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm just going to look at his flash and choose the tiniest little thing that I can possibly afford. So I saw this teeny tiny fighting bear mug. And I went to him like, hey, are you able to tattoo this on me? And he was like holding his beer. I think it was Guinness or something. He's like, no, I'm drinking today, but he possibly can. And he pointed in the direction of a tattooer from, I don't know where the heck he was from, Russia or something. So in the end, I got tattooed by a Russian dude.
Mm-hmm.
The tattoo was designed by my possible mentor. And then after the tattoo was done, I got the apprenticeship.
There you go. I always love stories like that. You know what I mean? Because it all started, and you said it, so I'm going to say it. It all started with the I've got nothing else to lose. And I think no matter where a lot of creatives are or have been, everything starts with that sentiment. Everything starts with coming to that point. And I think a lot of the struggles a lot of people face is the fact they haven't experienced enough life to have hit a point where they just realize I've got nothing else to lose. You know what I mean? And now decisions have to be made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like everybody gets stuck in this, like a maybe mentality to where the universe will figure it out. You know what I mean? I'm not going to make a decision. Mm-hmm. It'll get figured out on its own, and then nothing happens, or it goes the way you hoped it wouldn't. But when you hit this, like, I've got nothing else to lose, and you start just making decisions all of a sudden you find yourself in these situations. You find yourself with opportunities. You find yourself willing to be patient, just knowing like, you know, what's the worst that could happen? And then everything good
But
starts to fall into place.
that was definitely the point. Like, I had a good job. Like, that was not the problem, but I had a relationship that failed with a lot of drama, and I was alone. All of the friends that I had were his friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally didn't have anything except for my job that I didn't like. So I was like, this is the time to make a big change uh, in my life. And if it fails again,
Yeah.
then it fails again. Like, what did I, like, when it failed the first time, I got back into teaching. So I was like, if it fails, which it won't,
Yep.
if it does, I got this shitty life to fall back on anyways. So,
So, okay. Going from I've got nothing else to lose to getting the second chance to make all of your dreams come true. Now, what situations, what brick wall do you have to hit to realize that same ambition, that same vision is necessary? You know what I mean? So ideally, all of us hit this place where we're like, okay, we've got nothing else to lose. So we start. And ideally, you never hit another point where you say, I have nothing else to lose. So what is that point that makes you continuously push the way you do? Because you are an outlier. You know, a lot of people need to hit rock bottom to realize it's all or nothing. But you continuously go all in. What is it that keeps you pushing that hard, that far, and believing in yourself that much?
yeah, I honestly feel that everything that I do with a full 100% as I am now.
Yeah.
But the person that I am in the future, like next week, even tomorrow, is better than the person that I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I look into the far future, I don't even know what things I'm able to achieve. Plus, I feel like if I stay the way I am right now, I will be stagnant.
Yeah.
And for me, being stagnant, if everyone is growing and I stay here, I'm actually going down
I love
instead.
that.
And I don't want that.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. You and I are a lot alike in that sense. You know what I mean? I always tell people if you stay the exact same, you're inevitably going backwards because everything else moves. So if you aren't making the choice to move forward, then everything around you will progress without your consent and it will leave you behind.
Yeah.
You know, and I think in a lot of ways that is the comfort and the convenience of just being okay with being okay. There's so many terms that people say, like, you know what, you are enough, or it's okay to be okay, that they sound really good and they make you feel comfortable with who you are right now, and people can tell you, you know, just be positive. But all those things keep you in this singular moment of a weird comfort blanket of mediocrity, where
Yeah.
those are the same people that say, well, I'm always going to battle with the me from yesterday. And I've done that before, but like you had just said, I would way rather like know that I'm going up against a worthy adversary of tomorrow than ever remember yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because eventually you get so far from yesterday that you just become complacent anyway because it's an unfair fight. So
Yeah.
you, like myself, are always just looking forward, and you have to learn new techniques to be able to go to battle with that. So it inspires you, and it almost like insists that you're doing more, you're getting better. You know what I mean? And it's empowering.
Yeah, and I also feel like obviously we always look at other people's work.
Yeah.
We look at other people's behavior, and sometimes we envy of what other people do, but it's still other people, it's not us.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the best, how do you say that in English, component? Like the best person to look up to is
Yeah.
your future self.
Oh yeah.
And that way you can never really be disappointed, but just in yourself. But if you give 100%, then you cannot be disappointed.
Yeah.
But if you give 80% or 70% or even 90%, and you look back and you're like, yeah, I could have done better. That's such a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
I could have done better. Like, that's pathetic. Like, if you could have done better, why didn't you?
Yeah. I think there's such a reality that revolves around the participation ribbon of life. You know what I mean? Like, well, I tried, but sometimes trying won't get you to where you want to be. So you'll still be devastated in the outcome. Sometimes doing your best doesn't mean that you were at your best when you did it. So you still did the bare minimum, and,
Mm-hmm.
um, like the way that I always say it is if we envision the person that we're constantly in competition with, you have to imagine that this person is always improving. They're always learning. They're always pushing themselves. They're always driven, and they know how to say no to the things that will be distractions. That person is us in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years from
Mm-hmm.
now. And that should frustrate you that that person is getting to live the life that you imagined. Are you willing to let that dream version remain a dream to inevitably become delusion? Or are you willing to fight to gain those same skills every single day?
Yeah.
And
I feel like a lot of people are not able to put up a fight
yeah,
for the things that they actually want. But they are willing to put up a fight to show up to a 9 to 5 every day and realize their boss's dreams.
hmm
But
so here's a fascinating question. What's, in your opinion, what's the difference? What makes it so easy to have that complacent 9 to 5 attitude as opposed to being willing to fight to live your own dreams? Like, what do you think is the difference between the two?
I think it's very easy to get up in the morning, do your thing, half an hour before you start working, drive to work, know exactly what you're gonna do that day, and then clock out at 5, and you have the full evening to do whatever games, watch TV, things that you think you enjoy that doesn't really matter
Yeah.
for your growth. But you enjoy it because you don't. It's a. I feel like I love watching movies, and you probably do as well.
hmm
I don't do it as often, um, but watching movies and playing games, video games, allows you to escape your own life
Yeah.
for a short period of time. And it's beautiful that people are able to do that. I like playing video games, I like going to the movies and whatever, but it's a couple of hours that I won't get back. And I don't even want to forget about my own life because I love my freaking life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think those things, at least in my opinion, and I'm sure plenty of other people's, those things are meant to be rewards.
Mm,
Not just your escape. When you're trying to escape your life, then they become your obsession, where your life itself should be the obsession and those things should be the reward.
yeah.
And I think that's a huge shift that people like you, myself, other artists we've worked with, and plenty of artists that we haven't yet, they go through that shift where with a 9 to 5, it's easy. You get to
Yeah.
help someone else with their dreams. They give you the rules to live by. You know your code of conduct. You know your, like, what the expectations are, and you can get by with the bare minimum. Now,
Yeah.
when you prioritize your own life, your own career, your own dreams, you have to design your own rules. You have to live your life by those. And that's hard for some people to do because it's easier to stray off the path. It's easier to be tempted. It's easier to have distractions. And usually, if you aren't laser focused, like you and I were speaking about earlier, then those things will take precedence. They'll take control of you, and then all of a sudden you're discouraged because the dream didn't happen. The path disappeared. You ended up kind of getting lost in the mess, and now you're discouraged at your dreams, not at yourself, for getting so lost behind or distracted.
Yeah, and I think it's also having a 9 to 5. You have your paycheck. You know at the end of the month how much money you made.
Yeah.
Being a tattooer or any type of artist, you never know.
Unless you
But
dedicate yourself to such a degree where you can control.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's not a 9 to 5 mentality.
Yeah.
You wake up at like 4 in the morning, I think.
3:15, yeah.
Do you sleep?
Yeah, I get some. I get enough. I get enough.
Okay, but like with that 9 to 5 mentality, you will not achieve those goals.
Yeah.
But waking up early and even before getting to your tattoo and already had 5 hours of other stuff that you can do within that day, and then after getting done with tattooing, you still have a couple of hours before you go to bed. So there's like basically 2 work days in a day.
Yeah. Well,
So
here's
that, yeah, and if you actually use those hours to improve yourself, improve your skills, and work in yourself, that's how you become quote unquote successful.
yeah. There's two versions of myself I imagine sometimes.
Okay.
The complacent version where I hit the snooze alarm, I wake up, I kind of like crawl out of bed. I probably sit in the bathroom for 45 minutes, fucking off on social media. Eventually realize I've got to eat something shitty because it's convenient. I rush to the shop because I'm late. I just do the bare minimum for the tattoo because I'm ill prepared. Now I'm working on their time, not my own. Get done tattooing, go hang out with my friends at the bar because it's common. It's just what I'm used to doing. Or I go play Call of Duty or something. And then there's the life that I learned to love. The life that is fulfilling as fuck for me. Where I wake up at 3:15, I wake up immediately. My phone's across the room. I have to go hit the off. So I'm already moving. I go and brush my teeth, and before I know it, I'm already in the gym. And I'm fulfilling myself in the gym because that's the only thing that matters at that moment. So my day is already starting with wins because I know I'm up before everyone else. I'm working harder than everyone else, and I'm treating my body so that my mind is clear. I'm already home eating my first breakfast by about 6 a.m., where I can get my reading, my writing, and my art done. Then I'm prepared, not only sharp enough for my art that I had to produce, but now I'm ready for my clients. So they're on my time. I beat them to the shop because I start tattooing at about 8:30, 9 a.m. every day. So I've already got about 4 or 5 wins done before I arrive to work. Now I'm as excited as that client to do this tattoo as they are to get it. Now we're working on my time. I'm not having to do time management. I'm literally making time. When I get done tattooing, I get the luxury of getting to go home. I get the luxury of getting to know that I get to spend time with Katie, with my son, or to sit down and work on a painting. I get to do calls with you and the other artists. I get to really just be fulfilled at every end of my day. Every hour is utilized to be rewarded. It's not exhausting. It's not draining. It's none of the things the other life provides. All it required was work and focus and belief. And I've lived both of those lives. One or the other is not fabricated. Mm-hmm. So I know which one I would choose because I have that proof of concept, Yeah. But the one seems easier, but it makes life very hard. Where this life sounds really hard, but it makes things extremely easy.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that.
So, I mean, I've had the opportunity, the privilege to work with you for the past 5, 6 months now, like pretty diligently. And I've seen nothing but like increasing hunger in you, I think, because you're starting to get to that point too, where every action you take is fulfilling. You hit barriers, but they're not roadblocks, and you have such an ability of not even working around them, but knowing how to work over them. You know what I mean? Um, what feeling do you get when you have the strength to just continuously do that, to not allow it to affect you, but just kind of move through it so gracefully?
What? How do you mean?
Yeah, so I guess that was kind of a weird question. I'll cut that part out. It's fucking weird. Okay, so when you come to something that's standing in your way, for instance, you have an artist who's going to leave, and it's putting you in a position to have to fill a booth quickly, or you have to sign a lease that is either for individual spots or the entire thing. Like, where does your eye of the tiger come from to just face that hurdle immediately instead of sitting back and over analyzing it? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I feel, I don't know when I learned this, but somehow, maybe I taught myself or read something, I don't know. But I try to look at things like if something happens out of my control, then there's nothing that I can do about it. I need to just let go.
Don't make it your problem.
Yeah,
I
that's it.
Yeah.
And then just analyze it. Like, what can I do to actually gain control
Mm-hmm.
and do it?
I
That,
need to work with so many more of you because that total fucking control mentality is so few and far between, Irene. It blows my fucking mind.
it's just, yeah, like, if you're constantly trying to control everything in your own life, in your partner's life, and everything you do, it's exhausting as fuck.
Yeah.
And you're not capable of doing that because you will only get disappointed. So let it go. And it can be frustrating. You will get angry, emotional, be like, what the fuck? But put it on writing as soon as you've calmed down.
Yeah.
Put the music on loud. I don't know. I go to the gym when I'm frustrated. And then I'm exhausted. I go to sleep. And in the morning, I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? And I just make a plan.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Well, I look at that as kind of your own personal SOP. You have a process. You know what I mean? Everybody, and even in a sense, like fitness or reading and writing are as beneficial as an escape as video games, going to the bar, all that shit. You know what I mean? But it's what's producing value, what's producing an outcome. One is an expense. You know what I mean? You go and spend a bunch of money because things will validate you temporarily. You go and play video games because they help you escape your present reality. You go to the bar and you drink with your friends because now you can all do the Barstool Warrior thing and talk about how much something's been taken from you. That's an expense. But when you go to the gym, when you love the process of meal prepping, when you get to sit down and design art for art's sake, for fun, for you, that's an investment. All of that will always help you not only gain clarity, but it will pay you back. And I think that's one thing that I love to see artists come to that epiphany, that aha moment of, oh, I feel better from this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, it's funny that you say that with the bar, people go into the bar to just relax, drink themselves to oblivion. And I remember, I think it was like 2 years ago, I went to this bar and people were talking, do you know, back in the day, this and that. And in my head, I was like, if I hear this bullshit another fucking time, talking about 10 years ago, what we did 10 years ago, I'm like, I want to live in the future. I don't want to
Yeah.
live in the past. And it's cool when you go to one of those birthdays that are obligated to go to. It's okay, or a high school reunion. Like, do you know back in the day we did this and this and that? But if you go to the pub every freaking weekend and you hear the same story every week, like, no,
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, I think one of the hardest things for a lot of people, and this is just people, not even artists. I think one of the hardest thing for people to comprehend is losing that consistent. You know what I mean? Because everybody thinks they need something that's constant in their lives, something that's always there. The bar's always there. Those bar friends are always there. So how do you leave them behind to prioritize yourself? You know what I mean? Like that seems so hard to do. And going through it because you have FOMO, like, well, are they doing something cool that I'm not a part of? Like, probably not. They're probably doing the same shit. Like, now you're doing something different and they're doing the same shit. And inevitably,
Yeah.
they will say you've changed. And if
Yeah.
you don't have the strength built to say you haven't and feel really good about yourself, then that FOMO will always last. It's hard to
Yeah.
leave old friends behind because they were with you through the tough times. But do you think you're willing and have the energy to drag them with you into the good ones? Or do you think that only the good things will occur if you're willing to climb that mountain on your own?
Yeah, and I also feel like if you don't go to that specific pub for like a year and you get back, those people, that furniture is still there.
Yep.
Still talking about what happened 10 years ago, which is 11 years then maybe, but like nothing changes.
Yeah.
Like I sometimes go out, I go clubbing or whatever. I always see the same people doing the same shit, shitty job, or still not having a job.
Yeah.
And the only thing that has changed is how they look because they get old.
Yeah.
But nothing else.
What I've come to find over the past few years, at least, because I haven't touched a drop of alcohol for 3 years now. And it's not because I'm afraid of the outcome anymore. It's not I'm afraid of being an alcoholic. It's because I've got shit to do tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that means the world to me, but it is part of my non-negotiables. But the point of that is I know that I have proof of concept that I can finally. You know what I mean? And I know that the day I decided I wasn't going to do it anymore, it was finally for me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, here I am further along than I'd ever been. And I've realized there's still more I can do. Like you were saying earlier, like I could do more. And it always seemed like it was going to be so hard, but I've never felt younger. I've never felt more energized. I've never felt more alive. I've never been more thrilled. And still every day it's like, what can I do more of? You know what I mean? And it gets sincerely exciting. Finally, where back then, I didn't have more to give. I was tapped out. I was depleted, and fuck, you don't realize how good life can be when forward is the only direction that you're willing to go anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely second that. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Tell me this, all right, you're here right now in the moment. We've been able to create amazing results so far for your dreams and your goals. But what does forward look like for you now? Like, what are the next goals? What are the next dreams that you have? What are we going to focus on moving forward?
I'm still developing like the all of the forms. The conduct is done, the SOPs are done, but I still want to go over them because they will change a lot. Recently had like a couple of days ago I had a new artist starting. So I'm focused on that. Starting big renovations upcoming weekend. So that's exciting. And the full renovation will be done mid-January. So all of that is happening, and Yeah, looking in the future, I really want to start a podcast. Really want to work on that in the future. Already have a room for that in the studio. Um, I really want to focus on that because I feel like the stuff that I want to talk about is something that is not done yet.
Yeah.
Plus, I want to do the podcast in Dutch and English, so it would speak to two different type of
Yeah.
people. Um, what else do I want to focus on?
So here's something fun we can do. I'm going to tell you right now, the podcast thing, once your renovations are done, 3-month goal. It's just on the to-do list. You know what I mean? Like it's not a huge grandiose thing like we've done so far. So podcast already yours. Let's just say what it is. 3 months, it's yours. I want to have fun with you right now. Like our first call, it was the universe. It was building the navigational system. Okay. So in about a month, the shop is absolutely yours. You've got 2 quality, amazing artists already in there. You'll have another bay to fill. Let's say in a month, it's all yours.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look forward in a year. Because you have this shop, you have this 18-month goal already achieved in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move the mile marker out 1 year. Where do you want to be in 1 year, knowing that you've already accomplished so much?
As soon as the shop is finished, we're gonna have a grand opening. Probably a grand opening party that will last a long time with different events, flash events, whatever. There will be a lounge. How do you say that, lounge? Well, we will launch merchandise, clothing line. That's definitely something that I want to venture off to, and in the future maybe expand the business as soon as it's up and running. I still got, like, next month I will have another booth available for a resident artist, and I still have 1 spare from January, so I have that spot to fill as well.
Okay. I forgot about the streetwear idea.
Yeah.
I'm also excited for that. Okay. So here's kind of the cool part about it. You already know that direction. You know what I mean? Like, I think originally we had the conversation about having 1 million half-built bridges without one taking you anywhere. They would all get you far enough to maybe see a little more clearly, but you never really got anywhere that you truly wanted to be.
Yeah.
And now you already know where you're going.
Yeah.
You know how to move the mile marker further. Every time you get to the goal you set, the dream expands because you have this excitement and this proof of concept. You know what I mean? I think that's the most fun about this entire process, because I get to be a part of your win, your success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's really what it's all about, you know? Like, that's why community, working with people, networking is so important, because when you work with other people, other artists, you do a lot of traveling. You know what I mean? You have a huge, amazing networking circle of other artists in other countries that you can consistently reach out to. You can bring them to you. You can go and see them.
Yeah.
And this only opens the parameters of proof of concept for you to take the dream you've built with the right SOPs, the right codes of conduct, applied to the right artists who see the vision. So then if you want to expand and open a second one, you already have all the groundwork laid. You already have all the foundation built, and all you have to do is rinse and repeat. So the possibilities there are absolutely endless.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. And I think one of the biggest differences, when I look at the past, I always had big goals. But I would achieve one, then relax a little, and then go to the next one. Since I just realized this, since we started working together, I don't wait until a goal is achieved. Like, I'm almost there. I can see the goal.
Yeah.
But I'm already working on the next one. That's a major difference. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me, because I can relate to that. I have a really like bad relationship with celebrating
Mm-hmm.
because I don't like to give myself too much credit because I'm enjoying the process so much. I don't see the need in celebrating a win when every day feels like such a reward. Because like you and
Yeah.
I were saying earlier, I'm just trying to impress the shit out of me tomorrow and me
Yeah.
next year. You know what I mean? And that's a reward to me.
Yeah.
The reason I can get away with like 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night is because I don't lay up restless before bed, tossing and turning, like going through what I could have done better, what I
Mm-hmm.
have to face tomorrow, the things I wish I would have done, past pains and struggles.
Yeah.
I sleep like a fucking baby because of this. So my reward that I get, sleeping easy, being proud of myself, having a belief system, you know what I mean? Like knowing that I'm not angry about anything, but I'm just energetic and happy and excited to do all of it again with a little bit more intensity. It's like exposure therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
People who are
completely,
usually, huh?
I completely agree. I see my bed and I'm already sleeping. Yeah. And I think with the celebrating thing, I don't do that neither. And I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago that um, we only travel for work.
Yeah.
And we do have a little bit of time off, but it's not a vacation.
Yep.
But like in one way, I'm like, it's would be amazing to just go on a holiday and not work. And then I think I will be bored within 2 days.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would probably just find a tattoo shop there and then
Hmm.
to work because I'm not able to do anything for 3 weeks.
Yeah. You would find something to work on,
Yeah.
and that's a huge character shift that people can make where I mean it no matter, especially as a tattoo artist, let's just talk to the people who are generally listening. If you're a tattoo artist, you still get to love what you do in different environments. You don't need like vacations are usually like designed like this. Okay, we're going to go somewhere for 9 days at a great timeline. It takes you 3 days to get comfortable to leave all your mess behind. By the day 5 hits, you're worried about what you have to face getting home. You have to worry about how you're going to make up the money that you just spent on this vacation.
Yeah.
Where when you get to a certain point, I'm not just saying like you or me because we have a secret of success. It's no secret. You learn to love everything you do so that you don't regret the actions that you've taken. But you and I and hundreds and thousands of other artists out there, we get to travel and work and love the environment. So it's not your defined vacation. We don't worry about how are we going to make it up because we didn't stop the focus or the momentum. We didn't do it to escape. We did
No.
it to enhance. We did it for freedom, not for relief.
Yeah.
And everyone in this industry can do that. That's what we don't realize is tattoo art in general, being a creative is a resource that you have. People in 9 to 5s, they look at time and money as the resource, but they undervalue their creativity. Your creativity is a valuable resource. 98% of society does not know how to utilize or does not know how to tap into or just can't do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can bundle the three of those together and realize this is a superpower that you have, plus you know what you're capable of and you treat your life with a sense of respect, you are fucking unstoppable.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm always somehow I feel sad when I see artists that have never good artists like the
Yeah.
quality work and they haven't done conventions, not even in their own country. They haven't traveled at all to do guest spots. And I'm like, you have this amazing skill. You
Hmm.
have this talent. And you choose to stay in that freaking box.
Yeah.
Why?
That was going to be my question. Why do you think that is?
Because they're comfortable. They think they're comfortable. They
Yep.
think they're in control. And I think the control bit that we spoke about earlier, that's the thing as well.
What about fear?
Yeah.
I
But
think fear.
like, fear of what?
So I think fear is a huge component because a lot of artists they attach themselves to their art to such a degree that they try to keep it to themselves a bit. They don't want to be judged by their peers. And going to a convention when you're uncertain of your quality or even of yourself makes it really hard to take the plunge. People don't realize that it's one of the most enjoying, enlightening experiences for a tattoo artist to really get into because everyone there is on the same mission, in the same mindset. It's not as much competition based as it is community based. But I think fear is a huge thing because if you're a tattoo artist and you have negative self belief, your fear is what are people going to think? Am I not going to be good enough to be in this environment? You know what I mean? What if somebody doesn't like the tattoo I produce? Or the fear of I'm here and I just want to do the competitions and what if I don't win? Or the fear of what if I spend the money and I can't make it back? And they completely missed the fucking point. The point is at a convention, it's community, it's networking, it's experience. And that is the most like battery charging thing in the world.
Yeah, you get to see other artists that you don't usually work with tattoo.
Yeah.
You can see new products, get inspiration from styles. You can talk to a shit ton of people of different cultures within your own country if you want to.
Yep.
Plus, I feel like it gets you, like when I did my first convention, this is a strange story. So I graduated my apprenticeship uh, in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was supposed to do my first convention 2 months later, but they canceled the convention. It was a convention close to home because I was like first convention on my own, first convention tattooing
Mm-hmm.
should be close to home. But that one got cancelled because of COVID regulations. They weren't allowed to get a lot of people in or whatever. But I've already signed up to a different convention 1 month later in freaking Italy on my own because I was like, then I'm experienced enough
Yeah.
because I did that one convention. Then I'm able to travel on my own to Italy, and I don't speak Italian.
Mm-hmm.
To do that convention. So yeah, that was my first convention. Like I took the plunge. Like I
Yeah.
traveled 6 hours to a country that I don't speak the language of, that I didn't know anyone. I have no clients. The only experience of conventions that I had was with my mentor. I did one convention to help him.
Yeah.
That was my only experience, and I went to a convention as a visitor. And I think that was a really good thing for me to do. To just not cancel that convention, but just go. Like, what is the worst that can happen? What is the worst? I forget my machine? Well, I can
Yeah.
buy one at a convention.
Well, it goes back to I've got nothing else to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what's the worst that could happen is very similar to I've got nothing else to lose because really what is the worst that could happen? You know what I mean? And I think that goes for everything. If we've already experienced some sort of pain in our life, then we already know the worst unless we intentionally create worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's the opposition. I have that conversation with everybody. What makes me me is always remembering the opposition. always remembering where I came from, always knowing like what's the worst that could happen, like what do I have to lose, and so I continuously like I have this kinetic energy, and now eventually you get to the point where like a locomotive, you're just consistently you've already got the coal in the fucking engine, now it's running itself.
Yeah.
And again, the best things that ever happened to me were finding a position to put myself into, knowing that I have a whole new mountain to climb. Now I'm back at the beginning. I've got nothing to lose. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
I love the climb. I'm obsessed with it now.
Yeah, but somehow people stay in that little box of things they can control.
Yeah.
Because they fear the unknown?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe?
Does that make sense for an artist, though? Because we use our creativity to create things we've never seen. Like, I have this conversation about being the creator. Like you blow people's minds every day by imagining something and producing it as art. It's the unknown that you completely create as a tangible thing. And so we're doing that as creatives, but why can't we live creatively in the same way we create?
I have no idea.
But you know what I mean? Like that almost sounds oxymoronic.
Yeah, it does. I feel that a lot of people, at least in this country, they feel like if you are comfortable, that's good. Especially in this country. Like I just got back from the US, as you know.
Yeah.
It's a lot different there. A lot. People
Yeah.
are way more motivated. The work ethic is better than over here. Yeah, it is.
Oh wow. And
Yeah.
I only know what I know, and even like looking around, like complacency is a cure-all for having to test yourself here in America, which I can speak on because of the conversations I have. But that maybe it's surprising, maybe it's not, because I think culturally there's a lot of similarities around the world, especially when it comes to the creative. Is I'm a creative. I can lean on that. I already have a talent. This is good enough. Like I can draw, I can paint, I can tattoo. That's good enough for me. And then you just eventually get really comfortable there. And eventually that's not going to fulfill you the way it did originally, So then what?
Yeah, I feel like when I look back at, I don't know if it goes for the whole of Europe, but it does go for my country and I think Germany and Belgium as well.
Mm-hmm.
That as soon as you get a job, any type of job, you will get a contract. And that contract is either a couple of months or half a year or 2 years or forever.
Yeah.
They cannot fire you. They can't. Unless you set fire to the freaking building, you steal something, you're sick for a year. Like, very extreme stuff.
Yeah.
While in the US, if you don't do your job, you're fucking out. So that's like, over here, people are used to working hard until you get there and then you,
Yeah.
While in the US, if you do fuck all, you're out. On most jobs.
Yeah.
So it requires a completely different kind of work ethic.
Yeah. I think that may be one of the issues with the tattoo industry as a whole, in a sense, at least in my opinion, because I think once you get the job, you think it's easy street. You know what I mean? Like I've already got my license. Well, now I'm a tattoo artist. Then you can just kind of lay back and just relax. And because a lot of tattoo shop owners have a hard time getting rid of people, or they're getting rid of people like crazy. You know what I mean? They have a shitty turnaround rate. But I think that is one of the things. Once people become tattoo artists, they aren't inspired to do more, to push themselves harder. They really rely on the badge of tattooing, which is why usually on this podcast I say, let's take the badge of tattooing off. Let's forget about that for a second and talk about success. Talk about what it is we can build in our lives to make us better when we do come back to the badge of tattooing. Because if the only thing that defines you is that you're a tattoo artist, then the rest of your life is going to be very bleak and unfulfilling. But if the rest of your life is fulfilling and rewarding, being a tattoo artist is going to be that much more rewarding and successful.
Yeah, when artists come to my studio and we have that first conversation, I always ask, like, when did you realize that you wanted to tattoo? And why did you want to tattoo?
Yeah.
Like, why? And if it's like, yeah, I thought it was cool, then I would obviously ask more about that. Like, so what do you think about it now? Like, was it what you expected, and what do you do and everything? But I feel like that's a very important thing to realize. Like, why did you get into tattooing? And know that you're fucking privileged.
Yeah.
Of doing this.
Yep.
Because for one, like, not everyone is able to even draw. Because we all hear that on the daily. I cannot even draw a stick figure. Yeah. But freaking annoying. But also people, like, finding an apprenticeship, a good apprenticeship, not a tattoo school or whatever, can be super difficult.
Yeah.
So
well, it should be.
It should be, yeah. Maybe not as difficult as I had it. Like, fucking 12 years is a bit too long. Could have been 6. I would have been okay with 6.
Okay, all right.
But I feel like we should all be not just proud, but we should feel privileged to have this life.
Yep. Well, I think you hear so much about gatekeeping in the tattoo industry, like it's a bad thing. But I think there comes a point in time where if we took the negative stigma of gatekeeping away and we just called it quality control, maybe people would be less bummed out about it who are already active. Because there's no difference from kids who want to become tattoo artists and what we went through to become tattoo artists. People just don't want to have to work really hard to be privileged. They just want to be let in. They just want to be allowed to do the thing because it looks really cool. And everybody should be able to do the thing they think is really cool. But then how quick do those fads die out? You know, look at kids who get into sports because their friends do it. Mm-hmm. They rarely stick with it, and tattooing's no different now.
Yeah.
Because everybody was told at some point in time, you can do anything you want to do, but then they just kind of do it as a sample platter. They come in, they didn't do everything that was required to create immediate success, and they're like, it's this thing's fault, and they kind of just mosey on. And the problem with the tattoo industry is crabs in a bucket, because so many people came in without being challenged or pushed or being obligated to work for it, that now there's this thick layer of people just doing the crabs in a bucket mentality, trying to pull each other down, trying to get angry, trying to compete negatively. But then there's this success rate above the bucket where there's artists who are living the lives that you and I talk about, because we realized this was going to be work, because we realized we were privileged and we had to put something back into it, because we had to prioritize who we were as individuals to be something of significance within the industry, not that the industry would make us something significant. And that's the big pivot, I think, is everybody thinks by being a tattoo artist, you are now significant, instead of realizing the only way to become better and more significant is to be the best you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like apprenticeships, I hear a lot about it, and I've been hearing a lot of people say, like, I think it was on Threads or something, somebody was like, I really want to get into tattooing, but nobody will take me on as an apprentice. So I replied to that, like, so what do you do?
Yeah.
working in this and this town. I'm like, but she replied, there's only 2 tattoo shops and they're like private studios, so they won't take on an apprentice. So I replied, like, did you look outside of your hometown? And she said, well, I cannot really travel because I have 2 kids or 1 kid or whatever.
Mhm.
She had a private life. And I replied to her, so how do you think you're going to do an apprenticeship? When you have 2 kids that you need to raise, you need a steady income to raise those kids, because I think the father wasn't in the picture. How do you think you can do an apprenticeship? And she was like, yeah, we'll do it on the weekends. I'm like, how do
Part-time
you even
apprenticeship.
think? How do you even think you can learn something like this on the weekends?
Yeah.
And then she went on, like, if it's during the week, they will just have to pay me minimum wage. I'm like, which education can you find that will pay you?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, yeah, but I'm not going to clean and not being paid for it. I'm like, I'm talking to a freaking moron.
Yeah.
I cannot do this.
It's the
And
expectation.
I got reported on Threads because I was mean. I'm like,
Well, for what it's worth, I love it because I think that's kind of the problem is people come into things with like, well, I'm not gonna. How do you think that would have panned out when people actually like went through real apprenticeships? Like, there's a reason why being a tattoo artist is a privilege, and it's because you've earned it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, you can go to school for 4 years and you have a 30% likelihood of getting a job within that degree, and you have an even less much of a likelihood to be able to make anything of significance within 10 to 15 years because of the student debt that you racked up.
Mm-hmm.
Where here you go through, in my opinion, a 12 to 18 month apprenticeship. As long as you're diligent, you don't get paid, but you're given, like, in return, you're given amazing knowledge, amazing skills. You're taught everything you need to know, both medically and creatively, not to mention the client communication strategies that most people don't have because people's communication skills are dog shit. So you're given not only people tricks, but also like an amazing opportunity to have a career that can define your lifetime as long as you're willing to go through it, do the work, and become bigger and better because of it.
Yeah.
Like, that shit frustrates the fuck out of me. Not because like, well, you should go through what I did, but because you aren't willing to give something your all at all without some sort of reimbursement when we're giving you like the most amazing career I believe there is on the face of the fucking planet.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree.
Frustrating.
Yeah, it's super, super frustrating. And I feel like the way you described gatekeeping was the perfect way of describing it, because I am willing to share a lot of my knowledge to the right person. Like, when I talk to my peers, we exchange knowledge. But when a client asks me something very, very specific, I will just reply the most vague thing that I can possibly come up with at that time, because I'm not going to give out that information that took me so many years to finally discover.
Yeah.
I will not do that. And it annoys the fuck out of me that you can pay 1,000 euros or dollars or whatever to go to a 2-day tattoo course.
Yeah.
And be a professional tattoo artist in
Yep.
2 days. I'm like, I should have known that 12 years ago.
I mean, my alternative to giving a free apprenticeship with a generalized time frame for free for a transactional agreement would be, I will give somebody all of the tools and all of the tricks that I have, but it will cost you $15,000. With that, you have to put in an application. You have to meet all of these credentials that you already have, not your what I think I would like. You have to meet all of my expectations. You have already had to have built all the groundwork as the individual. And at any point in time when you do not meet the expectations that I had, this contract can become null and void because you were not made for it. So now you're paying for an actual school, just like any other college. If you don't meet the expectations, if it's not consistently passing grades, then this college will let you go and you will still owe what is due.
Yeah.
And I also don't think that's a good practice. I feel like people deserve to be given the skills, the knowledge, and the tools to become a good tattoo artist, but you have to be willing to do what's expected of you. Because again, the best fucking career on the planet.
Yeah. I cannot imagine a career that has more freedom.
Yeah.
I cannot think of any type of job that allows you to travel when you want and where you want to go to. Because a lot of jobs you travel, but it's somebody else that tells you or hires you where you should go. While I just look at the map, like, where do I want to go to? Do I know people there that own a tattoo shop? Or can I find someone that owns a tattoo shop? And then I go.
Yeah.
Like, that's mind-blowing. That's so cool. As long as you don't have that fear of living in that box.
Yep. And again, that is the dream life that we've all that everyone imagines for themselves. But for some people, it's delusion. For other people, it's a dream. And for some of us, it's our life. Yeah. We already created it and we put in the fucking work. The cool part is it's still not enough because we always say, okay, what's next? You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's the beautiful part of all of it.
Yeah.
So we are well over an hour in. Irene, this is, I know, right? This has been a really fun fucking conversation. You and I already speak every single week, but this one was definitely in depth. Okay, so if people want to find you, if people want to be able to have a conversation, see where you're going to be next, where do they find you at?
I think the best way is on Instagram to go to siren.tattoo and follow me. I will follow back. I also have a TikTok, which is similar. The name is similar, and my threads is similar as well. And on my TikTok, it's more daily life and everything that I do. My Instagram is just tattoos and everything that has to do with that.
Perfect. I cannot wait to get on a call with you tomorrow, but sincerely, thank you for everybody who checked out this episode. Irene is one of the best people I fucking know, so definitely go give her a follow. Until next time, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share this. We will see you next time.